So yesterday we talked about prolonged decelerations and their connection to a baby's HIE diagnosis. And today I want to answer a question that I received offline from that video. And that question dealt with what about minimal or absent variability on the fetal heart monitor? If your baby has been diagnosed with HIE and now you got a possible CP diagnosis looming, you might be wondering, could all of this have been prevented? And let's take some time and break all of this down together. First, let's talk about what variability actually is. In fetal heart monitoring, variability refers to the natural changes in your baby's heart rate. These fluctuations show how well your baby is handling labor and how well oxygen is reaching their brain and other parts of their body. When the medical teams monitor labor, they want to see what's called moderate variability because that is a good sign. It means that your baby's nervous system is working well, it's responding well, and they are tolerating labor. But if variability is minimal or if it's even worse and it becomes absent, that can be a serious red flag. It could mean that your baby isn't getting enough oxygen, and if this goes on for too long, it can lead to conditions like HIE. So what should your medical team do if they begin to notice minimal or absent variability? The standard of care on this is kind of clear. So first, they need to figure out what's causing the issue. Is there pressure on the umbilical cord? Is the placenta functioning as it should? Could medications like Pitocin be overstimulating the contractions? And by this overstimulation, this is beginning to stress the baby out. Once they identify or even suspect the cause, they need to act. They may try repositioning you or stopping certain medications or giving oxygen or other types of measures to relieve cord compression. These steps are often referred to as intrauterine resuscitation measures. And the goal of these measures is to improve your baby's condition quickly. But if those measures, if they don't work and the baby's condition it either stays the same or it begins to worsen, the team should be ready to move on and they should be ready to act. And that could mean taking steps to do an emergency C-section if that is warranted. Now, this brings up another important question. What happens if the medical team, if they wait too long? In many cases that I have reviewed, delays in intervention, whether it's waiting to try resuscitation steps or hesitating to actually deliver the baby, can make a difference between a healthy outcome for the baby or a lifelong outcome with injury. Minimal or absent variability is one of the clearest signs that suggests that the baby may not be getting enough oxygen. And when this happens, and when it's not addressed in time, the brain can be injured. That's how we often see the connection between these patterns, HIE and later CP diagnoses. So for example, mixed CP, which affects movement and muscle tone, is commonly linked to oxygen deprivation. If your baby has been diagnosed with CP, you might be noticing challenges now or preparing for what's to come, things like physical therapies or speech therapies or other forms of care that's going to be needed. These needs can be lifelong, which is why understanding what happened during labor is important in this process. This is where we start looking at whether the injury could have been prevented. Did the medical team, did they recognize the warning signs on the fetal heart monitor? Did they respond appropriately? And did they do so in time? Or were there delays which could have made a big difference in your baby's outcome? Hospitals will often have explanations when things go wrong. They might say that the injury occurred earlier in the pregnancy, or they'll argue that it wasn't enough time for them to act. Sometimes they even may point to the mother and blame the mother, suggesting she declined certain interventions or things of that nature. These types of arguments can feel overwhelming, but they don't always hold up under close examination. I also want to address something that some mothers feel in this situation, and that is guilt. It's not uncommon to ask yourself, did I miss something? Could I have done more? But here's the real truth. Fetal monitoring and timely interventions are the medical team's responsibility. They're not yours. The medical professionals are the ones who are trained to recognize these signs and to take the necessary action. This is something that you just should not have to carry. If your baby's medical team noted minimal or absent variability during labor and you're now dealing with the HIE diagnosis or subsequent CP diagnosis, it's worth asking the questions of could more have been done. Not every injury is preventable, but understanding what happened can bring clarity and, in some cases, accountability to those who have caused the injury. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and if you have any other questions about your baby's HIE diagnosis or subsequent CP or cerebral palsy diagnosis from a medical legal standpoint, don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. You can either send me a DM if you're on certain apps about questions that you may have, or you can just check my profile for more answers and to see how to contact me, or you can just wait and watch the video, or I should say watch the picture that follows this video. All right, that's going to be it for this afternoon's longer educational video. Have a good afternoon, everybody.